Radhe Radhe everyone. Welcome to our daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. We will start our session. So please do turn on your cameras. At least when you're talking or reciting, please do turn on your cameras. Nitinji, over to you for the session.
Thank you, Amitamani-ji. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We will get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. So let me share my screen. Give me a sec. I'll share the sound as well. Okay. Let's get started. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, very warm good morning, good evening to all of you. So today we are going to talk about something very important, like we always do, building on the concept of greed and anger that we had, right? We saw that when these two sons are there, the mother has to be there as well. That was desire. And then we will get deeper into one of those sons today. So let's get started. The shloka, it is a very important shloka. I think it will take more than one session. So we'll get started and see how far we can go on this one today. And this actually dissects, fundamental building blocks of anger. And not only that, but also what happens when somebody gets anger. It all happens in nanoseconds. But Lord Krishna is giving us the mechanics behind it, what all things it leads to, in those fraction of seconds. And so beautifully it is explained. And if once we'll go through that, we will be able to say, yeah, it just makes sense, whatever it is saying. That is, I'm saying Lord Krishna is my master psychologist, and he's giving us a framework around everything that humans have to deal with. And this is something which is a manas rope that we are going to talk about today. So let me cite it and then we'll get started. You're welcome to follow along. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Okay, we have any participants who want to?
We have. Go ahead, Samji. You've been unmuted.
Radhe Radhe. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati.
Sandhya, go ahead, ma.
Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati.
Ayalji, go ahead, please.
Nice, Sandhya. Who else?
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranishyati. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice. Thank you, Palji.
Ramyaji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Wonderful, Sri Ramya. Very nice. Let's take a few more hands.
Srivatsan. Go ahead, Kuna. Radhe Radhe.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Samji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Samji.
Krodha bhakti sammoha sammoha samti vibram samvritti darshad buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice, Samji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, we can really pick up the remaining hands real quick.
Uday Kumarji, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe, Udayji.
Radhe Radhe. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. राधे
Very
राधे.
nice. Thank you, Udayji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, let's pick the remaining.
Nitinji, we have around 7 hands raised. So, do you
So
want to
let's give preference to the ones who have turned on their video. Maybe 2 or 3 we can pick and then get started.
Okay. Go ahead, Ashutoshji. Radhe Radhe.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Very nice. Thank you, Ashutoshji.
Surya Prakash Rauji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रंशः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Meenaji,
Thank
please
you.
go
Very
ahead.
nice. Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Very nice, Meenaji. Radhe Radhe.
Sumeshi, please go ahead. Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Sumeshi.
राधे राधे नितिन जी. राधे राधे एवरीवन. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Very
राधे
nice, Sumeshi. Radhe Radhe.
Manishi, go ahead, please. Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Manishi.
राधे राधे. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Thank you. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice. Thank you, Manishi. Okay, we can make a discount. Couple of more hands, so let's cover them. Although we would have preferred your videos, but please go ahead.
Riyaji, please go ahead.
राधे राधे.
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Riyaji.
Ragiji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे. Thank
Radhe
you.
Radhe.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Very nice. Thank you, Pragiji. So let's get started. I think this is one of the shlokas. We can put it on our wall and keep revising it whenever we get angry. Okay, the anger is not going to go away just like that. It is an uninvited friend. It will keep coming. But then just by reminding ourselves about this shloka, it will go a long way. So it's a very important shloka. So let's see what Lord Krishna is saying. Yesterday he spoke about desire, mother of greed and anger. When the desire is fulfilled, greed comes. You need more and better. Right? Sai Ramji gave a beautiful example that when you watch a web series, just to get the same kick out of it, you need to watch a much more one, which has much more higher octane to create the same thrill in your mind that you saw that. And that is how our desire goes as well. Has anybody become content, even after leading a fulfilling life? No. They want to see their grandsons, and then even if they have gotten their grandsons and they pass away, they say only if they had seen their marriage, it would have been so nice. So the human mind is like, okay, it is never satiated. So desire fulfillment leads to greed, and if it is impeded, you become angry and upset. And anger is what we're going to talk about today. Now, what Lord Krishna is saying, anger leads to clouding of judgment, which in turn leads to bewilderment of the memory. And when the memory is bewildered, the intellect gets ruined. And when the intellect is destroyed, one is ruined. Okay? So it's all happening step by step within those fraction or nanoseconds. Okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with the question. What are we going to talk about today? Now, if you look at it, this is our roadmap of life, right? The roadmap of life is to get to God, pathway to God. The soul has to realize God to fulfill its promise or potential, true potential. However, on this pathway, there are not only milestones, but also bumps. What are those bumps? You have lust, then you have greed, then you have pride, jealousy, ego, and anger. And this anger is called the commander-in-chief, the Senapati of oops. What do I do and what happens? So this is called the Senapati, basically, of all the afflictions that we are subject to. So it is like an express delivery of truckload of garbage in your drawing room. It happens. So there was once a guy who went to Buddha and started abusing him, hurling abuses at him. He basically all kind of chosen invectives to Buddha. And Buddha was silently looking at him, back at him. And after a while, he got tired. So Buddha said, give him some food and water so that he can get an energy back and resume the process. So after a while, this guy said, are you a guy, what kind of a person are you? Are you made up of wood or stone? I have been hurling the choicest of abuses at you for the last so many hours and you are just unmoved. No reaction, nothing whatsoever. Buddha said that very important thing. When somebody gives you a present, right? Somebody has brought in something for you and you don't accept it, with whom does it remain? Same person, right? So it's the same thing. Now, if somebody says, can you please open your door? You said, sure. You get a ring on your room and then somebody comes back and you open the door and you say, yes, what's the matter? He said, I've got a truckload of garbage. Can I pour it in your drawing room? How would you feel? You'll say, are you crazy? Why would I let that happen to my drawing room? I have to keep it clean. And there is the same thing. It will not even ring a bell. It will barge in, dirty your drawing room and stay there for a while and then leave. Okay, that is what anger is actually. And we got to be really, really careful about it because this is the biggest anartha. See, Vedvyas had said that Ajnana Mevasya Moola Karanam, right? He had said that. Now, Ajnana Mevasya Moola Karanam means the ignorance is the root cause of all the misery. The other things happen because of the ignorance. And the biggest manifestation of that ignorance, right? That is why it's called the general of Maya, because it exerts the most power over us, anger. We actually, if you look at it, the whole cycle we're talking about, we'll talk about it. If our intellect is ruined, so let's say from the equation of human life, you minus intellect, then at that point, there is no difference between an animal and a human. So you have actually forfeited your privilege as a human for that duration, for as long as you were angry and acting out of anger. That is how bad it is, Lord Krishna is talking about. So this is called the general, commander-in-chief of Maya. Let's move on. A quick question. What is it that you can't lose, can't find by losing it? Something that you can never find by losing it. It's losing temper. When you lose temper, right, it is something you can't gain it by losing it, kind of a deal. It's something you gain after losing it. It's an anger, basically. Losing temper is not a good thing. You don't get rid of it after losing it. So one thing that you can't get rid of by losing it is anger, temper. You lose temper, that you haven't gotten rid of it. Actually, that means you have gotten into anger. So let's get started on it. Now, yesterday we spoke about the repetitive thoughts, right? We said that it all starts with a thought that this thing is going to give me happiness. It could be a girl, it could be a guy, it could be a car, it could be a post, it could be a designation, it could be a prestige, could be anything. It all starts with that thought that I need this because this thing will give me happiness. Then that leads to formation of neural channels, which is called attachment. Okay, repetitive thoughts, they lead to attachment. And then when you get the object of attachment, we saw it leads to greed. And if you don't get it, it leads to anger. Anger, frustration. Now, if we look at it deeply, attachment is the root cause of mind getting dirty. Right? That apprehension, anger is because of an apprehension that the object of our attachment will be snatched away from us. Now, fear is also a manifestation of it, is this only. Now, attachment is not only giving rise to greed and anger, but fear also. We do have fear that the thing that I am so attached to, if I don't get it, or if it gets snatched away from me, that will result in fear. Now you're becoming anxious about that, losing it as well. So actually, if you look at it, it's all rag, dvesh, hankering and aversion is basically that is resulting in these emotions. Hankering and aversion. There are things that we desire, we want to have more of, we crave for, and then there are things we say we want to stay away from. I don't need this. I need to stay away from it, which is called aversion. So rag and dvesh, it's called the two sides of the same coin. The moment you start developing attachment, that means you've already laid the ground for aversion. Okay, which is kind of an interesting thing, right? So staying neutral and equanimous is the key, is what Lord Krishna talks about, right? We looked at the pendulum principle also. When you go to one extreme, you go to the other extreme as well. So make sure you are looking at things in perspective without swaying to either direction too extreme. Let's continue. Now, this is what the process is talking about. This is our intellect, this is our mind. Man and buddhi. We have spoken about this concept. Man is, we know, right? Man nahi kar raha. My mind is saying this and this and that. Buddhi is a higher faculty which has a power over the mind. Right? When our mind says, I am tired, but would you keep your feet on the desk in office? You will not. Your mind says, go for another 30 minutes of sleep. Your intellect says, no, it is Monday. My boss, his face appears in front of your eyes, and immediately you get up. Or your mind says, let's take it easy. Your intellect says, no, I just have 3 hours. And if I don't write my exam well, and if I don't focus and exert, I will fail. So that faculty is exerting its influence over the mind. Now, what happens during anger? This is the intellect and the mind complex. So what Lord Krishna is saying is, it's like when you get anger, in this misty windshield, if you look at it, right, it gets clouded. Your intellect gets clouded. Clouded is what? When we are driving in rain, we see we put the wipers on, and sometimes, you have to put in, what is that called, to take off that mist, because your windshield is very misty. You have to condition that so that that mist goes away. So this bewilderment of memory is like, first the intellect gets clouded. Clouded means now you're not able to make judgment, proper judgment. And because of it, what happens? Your memory also gets bewildered. Let's say, suppose there's a person in front of you who is an elder, or there's a person in front of you whom you were really friends with, or who has done a lot of good things for you in the past that you felt really good about. All that memory, at that point will be tossed out, thrown away. It's not possible that you are angry and your intellect is not clouded, judgment is not clouded, and your memory is not bewildered. That knowledge has to slip. Now the person will forget what is right, what is wrong, and flows along with the surge of emotions. And how does that surge of emotions go? This is how it goes. Anger, first the anger will come. Second thing what will happen is bewilderment of memory, as Lord Krishna is saying. Third thing is destruction of the intellect. And intellect is gone. You have lost your buddhi at that point. And then one is ruined. Why one is ruined? There are so many things people have done in pure anger that they have gone on to regret for the rest of their lives. Right? Navjot Singh Sidhu, he is probably the only cricketer who went to Caribbeans to play for the country on a bail. And what had happened? He had a fight while driving a car, road rage. I don't know why road rage. Road rage happens, right? Especially when people go from US to India, the first symptom that they would have is a road rage. They get frustrated on the road, too frustrated on the road. And they honk as if, by honking, they are going to blow away the car away. Nothing's going to happen. There's a car in front of the car, right? But they'll still keep on honking. It's just like saying hello, hi. So anyway, this guy got hit by a car, and in the rage, he's a cricketer, right? He's a well-paid cricketer. He took out his bat and beat the heck out of it. Now, as theory goes, I don't know whether that guy got killed because of the bat or because his heart was weak. He could not take that sight of Sidhu approaching him with the bat. But in either case, there was a case of homicide. Okay. And because of which, he had to be bailed out. But why did it happen? Rage of anger. Swamiji tells about another story he was telling about, right? This guy, they have two brothers, they had a kind of a court case going on, and the younger brother defeated his older brother in that court case. And and then after the court case, they were sitting in their backyard with the mother, the older brother and the mother were sitting there, and the younger brother who had won the case, he put his mustache up. Mustache up is like a big ego thing. How can a younger person in front of me could do that? And mother said, go for it. And he actually killed him. There's another story Swamiji says, which puts anger into perspective. There's a guy who gets a new car. Okay. And he gets a new car, new Cadillac or whatever that car is, and he's parked it in front of his house. And his child comes and starts, he looks at it, from the distance, he sees scratching that car. Okay. And he got so much of anger looking at that, because it's an object of attachment that is getting destroyed at that moment. I need it. How can somebody do that? And it was his child. He actually beat him up to pulp, the hand through which he was scratching. Until that, that poor guy's hand was beaten up to pulp. And after that, when he looked at the scratching, this little boy was writing, I love you, Dad. Okay. So these kind of things can happen. Why? Because the intellect gets ruined. This is such a surge of emotion that people, they said, all right. And by the way, by expressing your anger, we get certain kind of pleasure. Okay, this is kind of an interesting concept. There's a dopamine kick we get. When we vent out our anger, maza aa gaya, sometimes people feel, I gave it back to him. Now, what kind of pleasure you got? It's called a dopamine kick. And because of which, we like to vent out anger. If I had not given him back, this person would have never understood. And so that is called a dopamine kick. And the point is, it is something that God is telling that got to watch against it. You need to work on it. This is a manas rog. It starts small. It starts small by venting out anger in private. Then it starts getting extended to immediate family, to wife and to kid. Right? Until it starts becoming a mindset, and then you start having problem on the road, on the newspaper, on the TV channel, and on anybody and everybody that you talk about, on the phone, because now you have acquired that manas rog, and that manas rog is only going to become bigger and worse with time. So this mindset, Lord Krishna is saying, watch out for it, because this is a quick way to degrade yourself spiritually. And we will talk in more detail. There are some more shlokas in Bhagavad Gita which talk about when you get angry, where does it lead you to? Okay, so again, another reason to understand why we need to stay away, and we need to systematically dismantle this disease in our head, right? Let's not assume that it's okay to vent anger. I don't get angry generally. See, we all are nice, cool people, right? Very tranquil, peaceful. But then when somebody presses our button, and we all have our buttons, that's when we get angry, right? Now, a sadhak is one who, even though they have a reason to get upset, still consciously work on it. That is a sadhak or a definition of a devotee. Now, what's it? If we are generally cool and we don't have a reason, then nobody would be angry. But you go out and somebody steps on your toe, somebody pushes you, just look at it, right? Then you get a reason to get upset and get angry. Then you can consciously choose not to get angry, or you have control over your emotion at that moment. Then it makes sense, and that is what Lord Krishna is talking about. So this so beautifully is explained, right? How it's step by step it happens. Anger comes, bewilderment of memory. Your memory loses context. Who is this person? What kind of good things this person has done? Not too long back, I had a feeling of gratitude towards this person. Everything is forgotten, and it destroys the intellect, because of which we fall to the same level as that of animals. Okay? And then ruin follows. That is the process that is explained by Lord Krishna. Let's move on. So let's look at it graphically. You got an anger and your judgment on either side. This is how it happens. Judgment goes for a toss. Can you have negative anger and positive judgment? Of course, right? So this is how the graph will go, anger against judgment. Okay, if anybody disagrees or has an alternate point of view, then please let me know. So this is the first. The second thing is, if you look at it from a memory standpoint, again, the same thing happens. Yes, Jyotiji?
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji.
Radhe Radhe.
Nitinji, can you explain this point again, how anger and judgment is related, and here what judgment means?
Yeah, judgment means ability to discriminate good versus bad, beneficial versus detrimental stuff. Who makes that judgment? The higher faculty than our mind, intellect, makes that judgment. But when your intellect is clouded, it's just like driving in rain. When you have mist on your windshield, you can hit somebody because you're not able to see clearly. And when we get angry, our intellect gets clouded. So your judgment also gets clouded. Right? I gave you the example of the father beating the kid.
Yeah.
Well, why did it happen? Because his judgment that he's my kid and all that went for a toss in that surge of emotion. Makes sense?
Okay. And when you say positive judgment, it means correct judgment, right?
Correct judgment, that how important it is. Like if somebody had told Sidhu, drink some water, okay, drink some cola, you're going to play for India in a month's time, and this dent in your car is not a dent on your life. Okay, you have an insurance coverage, and even if you don't have an insurance coverage, it is worth probably 10 to 15,000 worth of expenses. Would you put your life at stake getting angry and calling for so much of infame and jeopardizing your career? Could he think all of those things in that particular moment? He could not, because it was a surge of emotion and he got a dopamine kick out of it. So your judgment is gone for a toss. You just want to vent it out at that moment. That is what Lord Krishna is saying.
Okay. Thank you. Radhe Radhe, Nitinji.
Radhe Radhe. No worries. Yes, Meena ji, you had a question too?
Go ahead, Meena ji. Radhe Radhe. Meena ji?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
You
go
could
ahead.
hear a
There is a
harmonium
lot
along with you. I think you may want to check your audio, Meena ji. Okay. Let's move on while we fix the audio. Then we can come back to you, Meena ji. Let's move further. Now, so if you look at it, these are the desired zones. If you are in a red zone, you are in a green zone, or you are in an amber, it should be an amber zone, right? These are the desired zones. We need to be on the green zone side. Okay. as best as possible, at least conscious effort to put that. And we will talk about more, what if you continue to do that, how detrimental it is for our spiritual journey, what our scriptures say when you continue to do that. And then talk about some of the tools around it as well, right? We'll talk about tools, how to manage that. So that's why I'm saying it's probably going to take a couple of sessions to do that. Tomorrow, by the way, I wanted to let you know that we have Tulsi Viva, Mehendi ceremony. So tomorrow's session we'll have to call off because I think most of the people, we encourage them to join online to participate in the celebrations, virtually or otherwise, and get henna, mehendi, and haldi get applied. I know we've got a lot of functions, so do come over for that. But tomorrow's session is not going to be there. We'll meet on Tuesday morning India time and Monday evening. So we'll probably take a couple of more sittings for this session because there's just too much of content to cover on this one, all the way up to the tools part of it. So let's continue. Meena ji, your audio got fixed or?
Yes. Yes, Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe. So my headphone just got battery dead.
No worries.
So my quick question is, so once we get that knowledge about the anger, when are we supposed to get anger and what is the purpose and everything? So you have little bit of knowledge and the opposite person doesn't have much knowledge. So how are we supposed to react when the opposite person in that highest peak of anger?
So yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think Swamiji had answered this thing. Swamiji said one thing, and it's a very profound statement that I write. When you do something with love, right? When you do something with love for the betterment of other, then that emotion will not be anger at that point. Now, why are you getting angry? Are you actually hoping that that will actually make that other person better? Are you approaching it with love, or are you approaching it with a sense of venting it out? That is a question that needs to be asked, right? There are times with your kids, you take a different stance altogether. You put on an act, but you are not truly angry. Why? Because you love them. You're approaching it with a compassion. You want to teach them, help them along. But with people, we don't have that kind of an emotion. It's like tit for tat. Okay, I'm going to knock the hell out of you today because you did that to me. So I think that is the emotion we need to get into. They need compassion, right? If somebody is doing that, but we are not there yet. So we droop down to their level and want to give it, have a game on with them. That is the thing. But that knowledge will not come in so easily unless we have practiced it to, and really prioritized it in our head. Over time, we'll get it. First of all, your trigger point might be on this provocation. Then it might be on this, then this much. So your threshold might be getting better over time. Right? But just because you are saying something to somebody, if that person would change, and that is your hope, you are being very, very naive. Right? Why? Because if somebody could change with somebody's word, we would have changed by listening to only one lecture of Swamiji. We would have become God realized.
Again, the expectation comes in between, the desire comes in between. Again.
It's a very complex phenomena that is unfolding. But Lord Krishna is saying, when you will be convinced, it's like if I tell you, you take a pin and prick yourself hard. Will you do that? No. But anger is exactly doing the same. You're actually doing that. You are actually hurting yourself. And I'm going to get into some of the physiological phenomena around it that happens when you go through this emotion. When you truly understand how much harm, damage you are causing to yourself, not just from a physical body standpoint, emotional aspect, but also your spiritual aspect. It's like somebody is going to knock off $10,000 from your bank every time you get angry. Will you still get angry? You will not. You will find enough reasons not to get angry no matter what it is. But we don't realize the immediate loss that is happening because it is subtle. And that is why we keep on trading it off for the dopamine kick that we are getting. Next time I tell you you're angry, serious, $10,000 will vanish from your bank account. You will learn how not to get angry. Birbal told that to Akbar, He said, I can teach a goat how not to eat grass. Goat and grass, they go hand in hand. So this goat would eat grass, and then next time Birbal got that goat and he put a grass in front of it. So obviously it started he gave it a tight whack. Okay, next time again it started tight whack, until goat understood the moment I see grass, it will think about the whack, and it stopped eating grass. So our intellect has the power as long as it understands the loss that is happening. We don't understand the loss here. And that is what scriptures are telling us. Understand the loss you guys are subjecting yourself to just by choosing to write this emotion. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, Manishi,
Okay.
go ahead, please.
Yeah, I wanted to cover more content, maybe one more question, and then we'll take remaining as we cover the remaining content as well.
Sure. Go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Very audible.
Yeah, so I have a question, Nitinji. I'm trying to work on the anger. It's on my daily tracker, and I miserably failed today. So I wanted to know what I can do. So I was leaving home, and our neighbor, instead of putting the car horizontally, they put vertically. And today was trash and recycling pickup day. So there was no way for me to get by. And I honked at friendly, like a honk saying, can you move the car? And they refused to move it. She walked away. It was a lady. And so I basically had to get out of the car, park my car, get out of the car, move all the trash bins to the side, and then, go by her car to get so I can get to work. And it kind of made me irritated and angry, but I don't know how to deal with that.
No, because she did that, you lost how many minutes? 5 to 10 minutes?
Probably.
Okay. Yeah. So if you had gone that 5 to 10 minutes earlier, there was a car which was destined to come on the highway and hit your car, okay, and give it a dent. So maybe she saved you from that. Maybe you don't have the big picture around it, right? So there are ways you can quell that, counter that. Just because we don't have that. And secondly, God may want you to learn a lesson around, that maybe this is just a symptom. Today it's your neighbor, tomorrow it could be somebody else on the parking lot, right? So maybe once you learn the lesson, that will not happen. So, but we have to reframe it positively. There's no other way around. That's uncontrollable for us, right? Maybe have a quiet word, continues to do it 3-4 times. That may work sense, but getting angry is not going to solve the problem anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Maybe it saved you from something bigger that was destined to happen if you had gone at that time, right? Who knows?
Yeah, possibly. That's a good way to look at it. Thank you.
I would look at it that only. Now, let's continue this discussion. Now, I would ask you to question, which of the bottles would you like to be? I'll show you 2 bottles here. Okay, there's this bottle. Oops, what happened? And then there is this bottle, right? Which one would you like to be and why? Let's continue this discussion. So the one on the left, if you shake, right, what will happen? You see that. And on the right, if you shake that, or even otherwise, what's going to happen?
Sandhya ji, go ahead, ma.
Right one.
Right is always right, right? So there was a movie in which the dialogue was, left is on the left, and the right heart is on the left, but it is always right. Anyways, by the way, it was Govinda's movie. Yes, right one. And why? Let's have a bit of a discussion on it now.
Yeah. So why? Because the left one is having so much pressure built inside it. And
if you shake it up, what is going to happen? If you shake it up, what is going to happen? Has anybody shake not the champagne, even a Coke or a thumbs up bottle?
Flash out.
Yeah, it will crash out, right? And if you put Mentos in it, you only can imagine what happens. So we all are like that Coke thumbs up bottle, and our Mentos will find us, okay, for us to explode. So the more we get closer to the right hand side bottle, the better it is, because no matter how much you shake up, it will never pop out and throw tantrums around it, right? Yes, let's hear. I can see a couple of other hands. Let's hear from them.
Lakshmi ji, go ahead. Lakshmi Prasanna ji, please.
Okay, same thing, the right side bottle, because the left side is under pressure, and if you aggravate that, it may lead to disaster and you lose the content also, what we have.
So if we are like a left-hand side bottle, right, it's like hammer trying to find a nail. Anybody, and you are like, woof. So even otherwise, there are people, see, when the kind of emotions and the vibes we carry, it is correct that our heart actually emits what do you call that? Electromagnetic waves. That is why you catch the vibes. Right? It said you generally catch a vibe. This person, this place has some kind of a positive vibe. You go to a temple or you go to Aura or somewhere, you have a nice vibe about it. Right? So the people who are generally temperamental, they carry that soda vibe as well. It's like, you know, that, you know, this guy can blow up on me anytime. So that vibe, it's better not to be soda bottle in life and be a, you know, regular water bottle. A Bisleri bottle is better than being a thumbs up all the time, right? So that's the concept. Anyways, you had another question, Lakshmi ji?
Yeah. The last the graph which you showed, the last slide.
Okay.
Yeah. And this, what is exactly difference between the first judgment and the intellect?
Yeah,
Because
so
here
both are
also,
related. Intellect makes the judgment. So basically, because your intellect has become impaired, your judgment will take a beating as well. So yeah, you could combine those graphs, but the point here is your intellect, the power of your intellect is diminished as well. And because its power is diminished, your ability to take correct judgments decreases as well.
okay. And the memories is the better, I mean, the good memories and bad memories, or
Memory
what do you
means
mean?
everything is lost basically. Forget about good, bad. Bad might come, right? They say that
Okay.
when I have a fight with my wife, she becomes historical, not hysterical, historical. Why historical?
Okay.
Because all the bad memories come. You know, at that time you did this and then this and this. You are always like that. So yes, bad
Okay.
memories come. Your memories get activated, but the
Okay.
memory that is actually beneficial is evaporated at that time. All bad things will come at that point.
Okay. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yes, Rahul, you wanted to add something?
Radhe Radhe. I think the soda bottle on the left symbolizes when we are trying to vent out or when we are trying to react. But the bottle on the right is responding to a situation, so it is remaining calm.
True. Soda bottle is like, it's already has so much fizz in it, right? It's like waiting that you touch me and do something and I'm going to explode. It's already there, almost there, right? It's like, you've seen Vikram Betal. Betal tell to Vikram that tum bola aur main uda. So you touch me, you say something and I'm going to explode. So there are people who are like soda bottles. They are like waiting to explode. You give me a reason and I'm going to explode. So we don't have to become like that. And in general, our tendency has to be more like tranquil, and it's an conscious effort, you know. See, for most part, you will crack it, but with near and dear ones, it becomes difficult, right? I still struggle at times. It's like, okay, that thing is coming now. Signals are coming back, you know. So it's a conscious effort because it's a general of Maya. It's not going to subside just like that. Your threshold may increase, but for you to completely do away with it, it will require a lot of practice, right? And that's something we have to constantly remind ourselves. Yes, Neetalji?
Hello, Radhe Radhe. I had a question. So for me, I am working, right? And I have a coworker, and I've seen that he's cheating a lot. He's taking the easy route, and he's just being selfish and just thinking about himself. And he's very competitive in a very negative way. And it's creating a very toxic environment. And I've me and my other coworker, we confronted him the first time. It was 5 months ago, and he's still doing the same thing. So when I decided to, say something, but I felt like I was more like a fizz bottle, and maybe I shouldn't have said. I was trying to control myself, but I couldn't, and maybe I must have said things that could be hurtful. So at that situations, like, what should, the anger is there because I see injustice and it's affecting my work. So how can you process that at that time?
Okay, I can tell you a little bit about from my experience and what I understand as a best practice around it. First of all, see, I've learned it the hard way. If you're angry, don't write emails. Don't write emails. Postpone it for a day because you will lose objectivity. You will pour out so many things that when you will read it yourself later, you will understand that was not the right way of doing it. Okay. That is one thing. Secondly, let's say there's a toxic thing and you had a point to make. If you had done it with a calm mind, with objectivity, it would have been from a position of strength. And that point you would have been able to drive much more efficiently. Because you did it from a position of weakness, you were hyper yourself. You are venting out your emotion. Now the person is already becoming defensive. The moment you bring your emotion into telling somebody, right? They will be in the self-justifying mode already. So when a calm conversation is done with the objectivity, that is from a position of strength. First, you have to work on yourself, get to a state of mind where you are able to reason it out clearly and talk to them sense. If you're just venting out, it's not going to make a lot of difference. It can make matters worse, in fact, because it will be like your word versus my word, and the other person will justify and get defensive, and it will be a war of words at that point, nothing else, right? But if I were you, I would gang up with 5 more people, take that person to a war room, switch off the lights, and after that, when he'll come out, he'll be a transformed person. But I'm just kidding. There are war rooms, right? I always used to say that we need to take such people to the war room and do something about it. But that was pre-Bhagavad Gita days. Right now, I would let them be or have a reasonable word with them, especially when I'm in a good mind space. Not in a mind space where I want to vent it out, I'm feeling frustrated, because that will not have that impact, desired impact. Okay.
Yeah, but I said it like 4 months ago. I think I was calm and I was collected and I could reason it out. But then he's still continuing to do that. So that kind of made me upset, because you're going against your word,
Yeah, I don't know. So this person basically, he'll find his match somewhere, or maybe this person is strategically placed for us to get some kind of a lesson. I don't know, right? So that toxic people, I'm telling you, that is just a symptom. You find another job, that kind of a personality you will encounter. So maybe there's a lesson in that, how to deal with these kind of people, so that your job is not impacted, right? Is it something that is hurting your job, right? He's coming on your face, or it's just pure your feelings. He doesn't give you a good feeling. Maybe conquering your feelings and not losing focus on the work at hand is the lesson around it. Or is he something who's affecting your personal life? He comes and intrudes in that as well. It's just a professional thing, right? Deal with him professionally and let it be. Why to rent him mind space for free after your work, or more than what is necessary to get your work done? I don't know what's the context around that, but we have to look at it in perspective, how much importance we should give to that person in our life.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Okay, so next one is, we'll continue with our conversation. So I wanted to put a question, but before that, any announcements, Pallavi, we wanted to make, and then we get into that. So there are 2 possibilities here with anger, as you can see. One, I'll tell you, the anger flows top down only. Okay, that's another thing. Realize it. You will never shout back at your boss. Okay. It is always top down, to a person whom you think you can take for granted, or to a person whom you think is weaker than you. It will never be upwards, your boss or to your superior or to your authority. You will simply tolerate it, digest it. Okay. Now the other part of it is anger. Is it something that you call upon, or anger is something that calls on you? Are you servant of anger, or anger is servant of you? If you're servant of anger, you are a slave of anger. It is the biggest slavery a mind can have. Okay, so we'll have a bit of a discussion on that after the announcements that we need to make.
Yes, the announcements are about the Tulsi Vivah, that is tomorrow, November 4th and November 5th. The link has been posted. I will post once again. And Swamiji's India tour in Puri, Banara, Delhi, that also link has been posted. And from Monday, that is Tuesday, India time, that will be a time change for people in India since the daylight saving ends. So yeah,
yes, that's a very important thing. So come Tuesday, Monday evening, this session will be delayed by 1 more hour. So we get to sleep an extra hour, and you need to tune in an hour later, basically. I don't know, it will work for you. For some of you, it will work. For some of you, it might be late, but that is how it is. Okay, we can't negotiate with sun. Okay, if somebody has siddhis, please change the tilt of earth so that we can do something about it. Hopefully this daylight saving becomes a standard practice, but 1 hour shift is going to happen. I don't know how it will go. And if you're going to send me messages that can we revert it back to the same time or make it sooner, I don't have control over, okay, neither the tilt of the earth nor the rotation around it. Okay, so we'll just have to go with that for the next 6 months. So please keep that in mind. We'll send you reminders around it anytime. So thank you for reiterating that, Amutavanji.
And I will be posting the attendance tracker, feedback tracker. So please do fill in that.
Yes, please do.
That's it, Nitinji, for the announcements. So
yes, we'll continue on this, but let's have a bit of a discussion. So there was a guy, Yeah, so basically, are we servant to anger or anger is subservient to us? Now, people who have mastery over their senses, obviously, as they start getting better in their spiritual practice, they call upon anger because it is needed as a tool. But for majority of us, anger calls on us. Okay, so it's not a good spot to be in. Anger can call us whenever it wants. So how do we get out of that? Let's have a quick discussion on this concept and then we can move further. Next, yes, Shamji, we're going to take. There are some, by the way, there are some cafes these days in India. I heard about that, anger management cafes, crazy cafes. Check it out on YouTube. So you go there. I think it's called Bhadas cafes or something like that. You simply go there with helmet and all this stuff, and all you have to do is just break everything around it. 30 minutes of that session and you are relieved. It's a very interesting concept, right? You go there, just vent out your entire anger on whomever you are. But they make you wear a helmet so that you don't end up hurting yourself. Right? When you break something, what if the glasses fall on you? You'll hurt yourself. So they give you all the protection. And then you beat anything and everything that comes your way. And after that, you feel, So that is not a permanent solution. Okay, Lord Krishna is saying you are curing the symptom. Not a very smart way of doing that. Go to the root, figure out a more permanent solution around it. Let's hear from the hands now.
Ankurji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Ankurji.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. So, when you're sharing with me about anger, so one story which comes to my mind is, am I audible?
Yes, your voice is a little shaking, but yeah, we can hear.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, the story which comes to my mind is that there was a father and son story, wherein a son gets angered, triggered by this anger every time. So a father tells him, he gives a wooden board to him, and every time whatever is happening, he tells him to punch a nail in it. Every time whenever he is getting angry, and so every time what happens is, the only thing when he gets angry, he goes and puts a nail to it. And after a while, when years pass by, he just goes to his father and he says that you've given me this board. What do I do with it? So he just said that imagine yourself with as a wood block. Now this is the impression that you've left on yourself. You've pricked yourself. So this is what analogy I just want to share.
No, that's a good one. Yeah, exactly. That's what happening. Actually, every episode of anger, it leaves an indelible impression on our mind. Okay. And so you have actually created something more for your mind to erase. It's like you leave a blot of it. Okay. And it's spiritually very, very detrimental. It's very, I'll talk about that in subsequent sessions. There are more shlokas around it. What happens when you become angry? Right? So spiritually, it's very detrimental. It's like you might have earned a lot of spiritual, assets for, practicing for months. And within that flash of anger, you have wiped it. That is how bad it is. So there's something we need to consciously working on because it's called a manas roga as well. And we're not even aware of it because it just happens in nanoseconds. Okay, a few more hands. Let's hear. I see one camera on. Wayne. Thank you, Ankuji.
Go ahead, Wayne-ji. Radhe Radhe.
Are you familiar with the term called gaslighting?
Gaslighting, yeah.
Okay. I have somebody I know engages in this gaslighting on a regular basis, almost every time we get together.
Okay.
And he likes to pull it when you can't escape from it. Like you're riding in the car with him or something like that. And it's the most annoying thing that he's very persistent. He's highly educated. He knows how to argue, and he knows it's childish to do this. He has a law degree, and he has a PhD in economics. So he's he's a pretty smart guy. But he likes doing this, and you just have a regular conversation with him, and he'll just take anything that you said and totally tell you don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't listen to any facts or anything like that. Typical gaslighting thing, but he's very good at it. Now, how do you avoid being angry when you're trapped and somebody's calling you a fool, and in a sense, and you know his argument is totally false in any shape, form, or fashion? He has no idea what he's talking about. He's just taking what you say and taking it the opposite. I don't know how to deal with this guy. I just don't know how to deal with him. And I think
I get it.
How would you do that? What would you do?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes here. Previously I would have a argument, counter argument, and stuff like that. Typically we get sucked into it. But what I'm trying to get better at it is it even a battle worth picking up, with this person? Right? When an eagle is there, crows come around it. So the eagle does not pick up a battle with every crow. It just soars high and leave it. So it's just like let's say you go to a hospital or a mental asylum. Would you be surprised and say, hey, by the way, you are crazy? How come you are crazy? So when you already know that, you preempt it. And then there's no point in engaging with the guy. It's like talking to a wall, right? At that point, it said when you argue with stupid people, they will first bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. So when it's a guy, obstinate guy that you are dealing with, right, who doesn't have much sense, it's better to avoid getting into that argument and just leave it the way they are, because you are going to lose your mental peace. Nothing. And it's not in winning arguments and winning every battle that comes our way. Sometimes we let go of some battles because they're not just worth it. And that's how at least I'll take it.
Usually you're trapped in a situation. It's hard to get away from him. He's relentless.
I don't know. I also apply another technique, which is called steer towards the skid in these kind of scenarios. So steer towards the skid means, all right, when you start, it's like, when somebody would make fun of you, I would feel over my mind, why is he doing that? But then I realized you have a lot of power over that. You just start supporting them and then they stop. So it's like driving a car. When it is skidding, you try to put it on the other direction, it will skid even more. You just turn it in the direction where it's skidding, it stops. So I don't know what that kind of person that is, but there are different tools we can apply with these kind of people, or maybe that person is strategically placed in your life for you to learn something. I don't know.
Just agree with him that you're wrong.
Not agreeing, but kind of.
That's the only thing that's the only thing that'll make him happy, is just say, okay, you're right and I'm wrong. Then he wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah. He said, what made you so smart? Every time I speak to you, you keep impressing me. That's it.
Yeah, he has a big ego, huge ego.
That's fine. Will your agreeing to him is going to make any difference in his endeavors, or the way he talks about it?
That's very helpful. Thank you very much.
No worries. Just say, every time I speak to you, you just blow my mind away. With such sound reasoning and arguments that you do, I'm so impressed with you. And leave it at that. And then he'll have no reason. He will not get his dopamine kick of defeating you in an argument, right? So slowly his intensity will start diminishing.
That's great. Thank you. That's very helpful.
No worries. Try it out and let me know how it goes.
I will.
All right. Let's take a few more hands.
I saw Shyamji's hand raised. But,
yes, Shyamji.
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe.
I want to hear from Manranjan ji as well. There's a Kabir Doha coming up, by the way. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Go ahead, Shyamji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. This is regarding the anger only. When I get angry, I just don't care. And it stays with me for a longer time. Maybe it hits me. Maybe the person is right or wrong. That's okay. But my thing is, it's okay. I don't care. Maybe it hurts me, as you said, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually.
Understood. That's your ego taking an ego trip, basically. See, other thing that happens because of anger is it's very difficult for us to let go and forgive, right? And forgiveness is called the foundation of spirituality. If we are not able to let go or forgive somebody or move on from where we are stuck, we are not doing ourselves a favor with regards to our spiritual journey. So moving on is very, very very, very essential. If let's assume God, okay, as the other person, if for every act of ours, he were to get angry with us and not let go and be forgiving, you think we could ever progress? He forgives every sin we do. He still is hopeful and optimistic that one day we will, learn to love him and realize our true potential. So we cannot become like God, but we have to make an endeavor towards it. We all are, see, to err is human. Nobody is perfect. People will make mistakes. We will make mistakes. But then if we get hung up in that and, don't forgive others or just keep it bitterment, resentment in our heart, we are not doing our spiritual journey a favor there. And the second thing is, the reason we need to forgive people is because they are not like mountains or non-living things. People are living, breathing things. They evolve, they learn. So stereotyping them and saying this person is like that only, I'm never going to do that, is also one of the traps we fall into. Maybe that person has changed. Everybody evolves over a period of time. Edmund Hillary, he told when he failed his first attempt to climb Mount Everest, he said, you know what? I will conquer you one day because I am growing and you are not. Mount Everest is fixed, but this guy is evolving. So he can conquer that. Similarly, we can conquer this stuff because we are evolving. If we are getting stuck, that means even we are not evolving. Then what's the point of we being humans and animals who don't have an intellect, or being a rock? So rigidity is not good basically in this regard. So you have to move on quickly. Give yourself enough reasons why to get out of that mode, and rather than becoming careless or not having any care, fill yourself with compassion for the people who may need your help and assistance in coming out of a similar mental rut that they might be in. Think it that way. It's easy to ride that emotion, but we have to look the other way around and force ourselves to get out of it and help the other person who's affected by it. Easier said than done, but that is where spirituality, right, comes in. We have to become like saints, like God.
It's so difficult what you're saying, but I do not know. But how long
This
will it take?
but is the one which is making all the problem. But what? Then we have to still do it. Give ourselves reasons to do it and get out of it quickly. Otherwise, same thing will happen. Same input, same output. So the knowledge has to be contemplated. It's our battle only. See, this life spirituality is do-it-yourself project, DIY project. God's grace will start coming in, but initially we'll have to put in efforts. No magic will happen. And with the conviction that it is important for me and I need to do it for my own sake, not for somebody else's sake, for our own sake. And then it will start making a difference.
But what if I don't want? I don't care. It's okay. Let it be what it is.
Then continue. I mean, nothing happens. Same input, same output. If you're fine and you are in a good headspace because of that, fine. God said, all right, take your time till it starts troubling you. I can wait. Default is always there, right? Nobody can force anybody out of anything. So okay, let's take a few more hands. We'll come back. Shanti, we'll talk about this. Let's hear from, I think, a couple of cameras, Sumedha ji and Manoranjan.
Yes.
So,
Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe. Go ahead, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Namaskar, all of you. First of all, I'd like to thank Singh and the entire JK Yoga team for bringing such nuggets of wisdom every morning, and we are getting benefited, and we are correcting ourselves from the wisdom. Let me put a perspective very quickly. As we know that this anger, whatever has been described, is one of the Sada ripus. There are 6 ripus: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Maschara. So the anger is one of the ripus. So this cannot be shaded out. It can only be suppressed, because we have the concept of ripu daman. Because we have to keep them at bay. We have to control them. Because as he said, Dhayate Visenang Punsa Sangat Samajayate Sangat Samajayate Kama Kamad Krodha Vajayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammo. Because our intellect is hypnotized at that time. When we are angry, the anger should not hypnotize our intellect. When it is hypnotizing, we are not controlling it, then it is bad for us. But when we control anger, anger is controlled, or we pretend to be angry. when a teacher teaches a student, he or she becomes angry on his student. At that time, actually, he's not angry, but he's pretending to be angry.
Yes,
And
understood.
that is very much required.
Yes.
So therefore, he must to be angry. That is a good tool. At the same time, the anger should not have a control over it.
Beautiful point. Beautiful point. Thank you, Manranjan. Yes, sometimes you put on an act. That doesn't mean you are actually feeling that twitch from within. Great point. It can be used as a tool, but then you are calling anger, and anger is not calling you. There's a difference between that. Great point. Thank you very much. Let's hear from others who have turned on their videos.
Monica ji, Radhe Radhe, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe. So one of the points can be, I mean, maybe the starting point that let's not give the pleasure of happiness or a kind of achievement to the person who's actually getting angry at you, that he could change something in you, right? I'm not sure how many times we have experienced this, but at least I have, that if someone's getting angry and then I don't react, I just smile, that person gets angrier, right? That person, I mean, they don't get the pleasure, they don't have the dopamine release.
You are denying them the dopamine kick. Yeah. So we got to be smart, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that makes me, that gives me dopamine release that, oh, okay.
So the intention, I get that. Your intention is to deny them that pleasure, and that gives you pleasure, right? So intention has to be help them, not make them even more irritated and frustrated. So yeah.
Yes.
Intention comes.
That's why I said maybe starting point for to control ourselves, right? Until we achieve the maturity of the sense that anger is not good.
Yep, great point. Very true. That doesn't mean tomorrow you will start laughing at somebody. See, I'm not going to get. I did that a lot of time. Okay.
Yes.
Somebody's getting angry at me. I said, no, I'm not going to get angry at you. Okay. And I started laughing, and that fired up the person again more. He said, no, something is wrong here. Something has to change here as well. So great point. Okay.
Sumedha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. So, work in progress, and what a couple of things that I think that works for me or have been working for me is that first I try to avoid the triggers that for me or a person or habit, because see, I'm as I said, I'm work in progress on this spiritual journey. I'm not there yet where things won't affect me. So I try to, because I don't want to take one step forward and then 10 step backward by getting into anger. So I try to avoid myself until I get to the stage where things won't be troubling me anymore. That's one thing. And then second, in the past where I've had anger burst, I've regretted so much that it has taken, again, to the same point, one step forward and 10 step back. So when something is now bothering me, or I can feel that anger, I remind myself of those past experiences, not the anger but the regret that follows after the anger. And so that actually holds me back, and I try not to get angry. And other thing is that, if you don't like a conversation, there's a saying, it's a saying, but I have learned somewhere that you don't like a conversation, to end the conversation, you have to keep quiet. Same ways, if you are getting, like, if the person is getting angry at you and you want to come out of that situation, it's better to practice silence. It is a lot of ego, and you know what? It actually helps get rid of your ego as well in the process.
True. We underestimate the power of silence, and there's a saying in English, I like it very much. A bad day for ego is a good day for the soul. So mostly it is an ego ride we are taking, and 99% of the lack of peace in this world is only because of words. Only because of words and feelings that we have, because we are not able to tolerate the feelings, or we don't have restraint over our words. 99% of the problems can be solved through words only, and how to process the feelings that accompany those words. Great point, Sumedha ji. Thank you very much. Okay.
Kumar ji, go ahead.
Radhe
Radhe, Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe, Amritwani ji. Seeing you after a long time. And Radhe Radhe, everyone. So, as some of you might know, I was a big fan of the Angry Young Man, Amitabh Bachchan. And I used to almost ape what he did because I thought that was great, right? He used to get angry and get things done. He used to break up things, but then I easily ignored whenever he got beaten up or he got killed at the end. That wouldn't stick with me, right? But I think, okay, this guy is great. I have to be like him. This is the kind of impression movies make on us, right? Dirty Harry and all that stuff, right? And I became an angry young man, and things worked initially, right? Things were working great. I was getting angry and things would happen my way great till I slowly started having some hindrances because I was angry. It was not helping me and it was not helping my health as well. And then still I kept doing that till I got this knowledge, right? Why anger? What anger does to us? And, especially Swamiji's lectures on anger, and I'm like totally just impressed me. And I like, what? That's true. Like if we don't have it our way, we get angry. And if we get angry, who does it help? It's just affecting us, right? True. So it has been a 180. I've, turned a 180 on this. But the what I would say, it's still an uphill task, right? It's still, I have one small thing or the other coming out.
It is for all of us, yeah. We are all work in progress, like Sumita ji said. It will take a long time because it is a pretty powerful and intense, strong emotion.
Correct. Yeah. And what I've seen is, Nitinji, with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Swamiji, and more I get into these sessions and I feel so good. And I'm saying, why is it? Because, like whenever I'm in this place, I seem to have more compassion and kindness towards others, right? Then I try to translate it to workplace first. And, like tell yourself you are a kind soul and then be the better person and let it go. What happens is at the end, you'll be much more happier than if you were angry, actually. And you gave a very good, this one, don't email when you're angry. Don't IM as well when you're angry. Don't talk when you're angry. Silence is one of the best solutions as well.
Don't change your status on Facebook and Instagram when you're angry. A lot of breakups happen over the status changes only these days. Okay?
True,
So
and even comments, right, on social media. Sometimes we are angry. Just stop it. Sometimes I even type it and then I stop it as well. So really helps me. And then, what I would say is, see, everyone at work has some issue or the other, right? They have some trouble in their life. So let's try to be compassionate, disarm colleagues with a smile, right? Or with kind words.
Yes.
It helps. Whenever I have my meeting, I start off with greeting everyone, and that kind of disarms people as well. So I think
we'll get into the tools.
Yes. Exactly. It's been very useful, but thanks so much for the sessions, Nitinji.
No worries, my pleasure. We'll get into the tools as well. I know we are over time, so we'll really give quick time to the remaining hands, maybe a couple of minutes each, and then call it a closure for the day because people have to get ready for the Mehendi and Haldi ceremony, right? So I don't know. It's a big wedding that is coming up right now. Okay, let's take the video ones first.
Ramya ji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Amritwani ji, Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji. What I wanted to say is, I get anger. I mean, I get angry at the emotion of anger. It's like, why is this anger coming to me? I get angry, basically.
That's a perfect way of dovetailing it, actually. That's what our scriptures say. Get angry on your own anger, that even after investing so much time on spirituality and stuff, why is it that I lose it? Right? It's a good way of dovetailing your anger towards your anger itself. Great point, Sri Ramya ji. Beautiful point. Yes, a couple of other hands.
Champa ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Wonderful session, Nitin ji, as always. What I do is, when I get angry, I will do extra rounds of chanting. This I learned from my grandfather. When we were brought up in a joint family and there were almost 25-30 children and we'll make a lot of noise. When he's meditating and if his meditation breaks and he gets angry, instead of shouting at us or saying that keep quiet when I'm meditating, he'll go to the well, draw the water from the well and pour it on his head and have another bath. My mother would say that, why did you people make him get angry? He would never say that, He was my hero. Now he's no more, but I always think these are the lessons I learned in my childhood days. Anger, we have to control. We cannot say, if you keep quiet all the time, I will be all right, or if you don't get angry, I will also not get angry. Thank you. I thought I
Beautiful
made
point, Champaji.
Very
God's name.
Radhe.
Very nice. I think you brought in a very nice point. Yes, it's like when we get unwell, we take a medicine, right? And if the medicine is not working, what do? We stop taking the medicine? No, we double the dose. That's what doctor advises us. So God's name is double the dose. Maybe you need a higher dose before it will start having an impact. But what Champaji said, it's the best thing we can do. Just bring God's name, right? Everything will start subsiding. That is the power of God's name. Beautiful point. Let's see our one of our youngest participant. I always look forward to hearing from her.
Go ahead, Bita.
Yes.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I just wanted to say that anger management, it has not been a hard task for me. And I usually used to get angry on my younger brother, used to trouble me. And after a sentence, I used to end it. So it's not been a hard task for me. But what bothered me was when others used to scold me. And even I used to feel bad that why are they getting angry? So what I did for that is that I used to see that, God is trying to reveal to me the true nature of the world. When I did something which gave them something other than what they wanted according to their true nature, like everyone wants happiness, but I did something which did not give them happiness. So they became angry. They want happiness. These are selfish people. And then I used to enjoy their angriness. So it has happened that I also broke out into a smile while someone is scolding me, and then they say, "Are you a fool?" But then it becomes, an enjoyable process. This is
Very
what I
nice.
did.
See, the fact that you're able to pull out the knowledge out of your hat, Tattva Gyan, in these situations, and you can actually discriminate or think through or reason that itself is very appreciable. So when they asked you, are you a fool? You could have said, yes, I am a wonderful. Well, that's about it. Great. No, that is great, actually. This is how it's meant to be. In fact, Maharajji tells us, if somebody says you are stupid or you are a fool, okay, the first reaction would be to get angry. But now let's look at it technically. Are we Sarvagya? Do we know everything? Are we Sarvagya? Do we have the complete knowledge of everything? Are we perfect? If the answer is no, then the argument in our head is, all right, I'm not perfect, but at least I'm better than you. So you have no right to tell that to me. That is what makes us angry, right? But if we are not, and we say, all right, by the way, that is what he's saying is a fact, right? I'm a fool only until I become God realized. It'll help you tolerate it, right? It's not, see, what is the argument in our mind? Why are you telling that I'm better than you? It's our pride speaking, which makes us angry. How could you say that to me? So that feeling, obviously, these are advanced concepts, but we have to strive to work towards those so that we get better at it. Otherwise, we will continue to ride this emotion and say, all right, I'm fine the way I am. So last but not the least, did we have any more hand or we have covered everybody?
Yes, Samji's hand was raised, but now I don't see
Samji
that.
got the answer from Urvi itself. Urvi, that was a wonderful articulation of what you had. Okay, Samji has raised hand again. All right. So I think we'll probably have to skip our devotion because it's getting late. If
Go ahead,
wants to
Samji.
raise one hand today, and then we have to bring it to a closure. Yes, Samji, go ahead, please.
Nitinji, when we are going through emotions, anger, hankering, aversion, during that phase, is it better to stop all our works and work on our emotions to calm our mind? Or should we still continue work? Because while doing work, my mind usually doesn't stay in control. All the thoughts, emotions flow rapidly. Which one is more pleasing to Swamiji? Like, what would be the suggestion so that Swamiji would give?
First of all, your emotions will be much more in check if you had sued the person who caused those emotions. Okay, so did you sue that person? If not, then think of doing that first.
Not giving chance to sue.
Okay, I'm just kidding.
That dude is
But
not.
what Swamiji says is that wise people are the ones who take control of their emotions. They are not subservient to their feelings and emotions. Now, let's say you feel inspired on the path of spirituality, or you have, one day you feel really emotional about God and all those topics, and you want to build a connect. And next day you wake up and say, Man nahi kar raha. Okay, I don't feel like doing it. So what will you do? You'll wait for it to come back to you. Let's say it doesn't come back for next 10 years. Your man says, man nahi kar raha for next 10 years. Will you wait for that? So
I don't
intelligent
know.
people who exercise wisdom take control over their mind and emotions, as opposed to letting their mind and emotions dictate their trajectory of life. So if your emotions are coming in the way of your work, you have to tell, no, this is important. Kohli, he played the Ranji match when his father had died. Tendulkar, after losing his father, the next day he was for the Kenya match. There are so many stories where people put their emotions in perspective because something, the call of duty is much more important than their trivial emotions, which are going to be fleeting anyways. So we have to beat it with knowledge and take as much control as we can over that, and not let our emotions and our mind dictate what we need to do. Mind will say, I don't feel like doing it. I feel like doing this. Are you going to follow your mind when you have this knowledge? Of course not. So same way, we have to check our emotions. Is this emotion uplifting for me? Is it helping me in doing my seva? Is it helping me feeling positive and optimistic about life? If it's not, you need to work on it systematically. That's how it goes. All right. Maybe the last question for the day, and then we'll call it closure. Anybody who wants to sing today, you can raise your hand, maybe one, because we are already late today. So
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji and everyone. I just want to add a bit to it. Like whenever somebody is angry, it's like they are getting their dose of dopamine from whoever they are getting angry. So they might not be having this knowledge. They are getting the dopamine unknowingly. So let them have their dose of dopamine and let them enjoy. And you enjoy getting them anger. And you realize when you are getting angry, you are going through the same thing. Even when you are getting angry, you are getting the dopamine. So it's the same for, if it is same for you, it should be the same for other. So see in that perspective and let them allow to get angry, and your journey will be easy looking at the others and making yourself mature higher and higher in this journey.
True.
Thank you.
Beautiful point, Anitaji. And then let's look at it this way. If we are investing time in spirituality, reading Bhagavad Gita, we have the benefit of listening and understanding Swamiji. And if we fall down to the same level and we are saying, hey, by the way, that person got it, then what's the difference? Right? So we have to raise our game and become like somebody they should be able to emulate. You know what? These guys, they invest, they read Bhagavad Gita, they do this, and we can see a difference. How do you handle that? That is the way to go, as opposed to getting down to their level and getting into a one-on-one with them, right? It doesn't serve the purpose. That means, what is the difference? How have we actually made a difference in our life because of the investments we are making in spirituality? That difference should come out in these kind of interactions. Are we good then? All right, one more. Yes, Urvi, go ahead.
We have a couple of hands. So.
Okay, last two hands, and then I think we have to skip our devotion. Or are you want to sing today?
Swatiji, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would like to sing 2 lines only, if it's okay.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure. And Urvi, you want to sing as well? Okay, so let's have 2 singing, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you on Tuesday. Okay, let's not forget that. Tomorrow, if you will come, you will have nobody to give you company. Okay, so better log into the Tulsi Viva and look at all the celebrations that are going on there. Okay, Swatiji.
Please do not miss the Sunday satsang. So it will be 10 p.m. India time, since the time has changed.
Right. Sunday satsang is the most important.
Swatiji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swatiji. Very nice. Short and sweet like always. Yes, Urvi, go ahead, please.
Yes. Am I audible?
You are very audible.
Okay. प्यारी प्यारी भोरी भारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी प्यारी भोरी भारी बरसाने वारी तू तो मेरी थी है रहेगी भी सुकुमारी तू तो मेरी थी है रहेगी भी सुकुमारी, मैं भी तेरी बनूं ऐसी कृपा करूं प्यारी, प्यारी प्यारी भूरी भारी बरसाने वारी.
Very nice, Urvi. Thank you so much. Sur, Tal, Bhav, spot on. Great. So with that, we come to the end of today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Have a great weekend and great rest of your week as well. Look forward to seeing you next week. And please do join us for the wonderful, wonderful marriage celebration that is going to happen over the weekend. And the Sunday satsang, that is something, if you have not already, please do add to your routine. Okay. It's like the sugarcane juice, right? Monica ji, that's what you said. So if you are jaundiced, when you have jaundice, the sugarcane juice tastes bitter. But as you keep on drinking it, you not only get cured from jaundice, but it also starts tasting sweeter. Same thing happens with satsang. So please do add it to your routine. And thank you everybody for your enthusiastic engagement again today. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you everyone. Radhe Radhe. I'll be closing the bridge now. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.